Credo Mutwa said that the extraterrestrials made him experience what you would consider a homosexual situation. The extraterrestrials, a female extraterrestrial, kidnapped him. Listen to what I'm saying. Kidnapped him and then pulled out a long dick, phallus, or penis. It raped him. It penetrated him. And this happened to him when he was in the bush. And he said after this happened, he had his most enlightening experiences because of the fact that his kundalini was activated. See, people, a lot of the shamans and gurus and stuff like that have been brainwashed by MK Ultra because they sent a religious programming. See, this is what they do with the occult. They know that they can't really talk to you physically a lot of times. So in order for them to make you religious, which creates fear, poverty, and depression, they have to send out what's called a false signal. And with Credo Mutwa, they sent out a false signal and made what I believe, just from my research, is on a spiritual level from ascended masters. They made him spiritually religious. So a lot of what he was experiencing came from a religious perspective because religion is what leads to all of that stuff, homosexuality and all of that stuff. That comes from the lack of understanding and the separating of sexes, believe it or not. And that's what religion does. So they teach you, they teach the separating of sexes. The male was first. The female came from a part of the male or was separated from the male, from his realm. Not even teach you that the female came from another realm totally, just like the male consciousness came from another realm totally. There was no separation. There were two totally different beings that can be fused together and amalgamated in many strange different ways. So when Credo Mutwa went through this experience, he was getting penetrated by high level extraterrestrials, and they were opening up portals and things of that nature in his mind, and he began to channel a lot of information. But a lot of the stuff that was coming through the portal, from what he was saying, was mixed up with his religious mindset. So he wasn't able to really channel everything that he needed to channel as far as from a clear filter. So that's what it comes down to, from a clear filter. See, had he had been raised a certain way, he would have never been abducted or raped had he not been raised from a religious perspective. And I'm just using Credo Mutwa for an example of what many occultists go through and how many occultists go into what's called a perverted lifestyle from the misunderstanding of the occult. Now, he had a high level experience. I'm not saying that he went into a perverted lifestyle. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying what in modern day time, what he experienced would cause most low level beings out here to go into what's called a degenerate lifestyle. But what Credo Mutwa was experiencing was a part of an experiment, believe it or not. See, what Credo Mutwa didn't realize is that even himself, he came from an experiment. And I don't know if he realized the scientific aspect of behind it, is what I'm saying, because I've listened to a lot of his work, like hours and hours of his work. So this is why I'm able to talk like this. I respect this man. So I'm not speaking from no type of dissing or anything like that. And he is late, actually. Credo Mutwa is late. And he talked a lot about ETs, though. And a lot of what these high level occult researchers, your high level gurus got their information from him. He taught a lot of the shamans in the bush a long time ago, before he even came to America and started getting with a lot of the occult writers and researchers, all about the extraterrestrials, all about how Hollywood was just depicting alien scenarios. He was never raised in Hollywood filmography. However, he was able to, when he came here and started watching movies, he was able to decode all the movies and show you how they were all coming from ancient stories told by griots and channeled from the future and the past. So Credo Mutwa, he knew a lot of stuff. He jumped through dimensions, but he didn't know that he was even a part of an experiment. This is what I'm going to go into and talk about, hopefully a lot more in the future, because this is what they do. See, there are several Credo Mutwas. Anybody that's born and they know that's considered a messiah seed, I'm gonna just say it like this, or some form of a prophet, or some form of a special seed. When you're born, see, they don't teach religious people about banking and money. The church is separated into denominations like money. Everything about church is about money. And they don't teach you that when you're born, you're a part of, if you coming from a Messiah seed perspective, like when the Magi followed Jesus and they've tracked the star that he was born up under, which was Bethlehem, which was a star, believe it or not, a craft, Bethlehem. But when they tracked him, they realized he was a Messiah seed. He was worth billions of dollars. So what do? They clone you automatically. And this still goes on to this day. You may be a Messiah seed. You decide, I'm going to go have sex real quick. And then I'm going to go get pregnant by this dude. And then I'm just going to get an abortion. Don't you know that they keep that seed and they clone you? Don't you know that even when a lot of times you go into sexual scenarios with certain males and you don't know they're a part of experiments, and they come in you and things of that nature, they can clone or reproduce you from that scenario? This is what's called the Quinn wheel. This is what they do. A lot of us, this is how we got cloned. A lot of us are clones because they find ways to get your DNA and clone you. And they create doubles of you. All of you have a double. This is what I'm going to point out, and then we'll talk more about this later. You have to find him or her, a literal double. Scientifically, they created at least, for if you're rich, then you may get 7 of them. But everybody on this planet has at least one double. And they do this on purpose. This is a part of a scientific experiment of MK Ultra in case they ever want to replace you. They'll have auto replacement parts like a car. You think these people are fools? They can, yes, they control the mating process, man. Part of the art of warfare. You got to study it. So study Credo Mutwa, shamanism, and ETism, and you'll understand why they started doing this, how they learned it. These scientists that are doing this is what I'm explaining. They got it from the ancients. Namaste.